guys, loud guys. US and Israel have attacked Iran, and this is like I think so the start of World War III because China and Russia have clearly said that this is not right and what you are doing is just one-way attack, and US and Israel are like, no, we don't care about you because Iran, we gave enough warnings to Iran, and Iran is also attacking, UAE, Dubai and all these places. What is happening in this world? All the flights are being cancelled. The world is going haywire.
Yeah, definitely. And you're just sounding like an news anchor. Yeah, this is like a big tension is going on, and I don't want to see like World War III like in my own eyes, because I just think that World War III is something that our future generations might see, but I don't think so. I think so it might happen very soon.
Actually, we all have been seeing these viral clips and news and videos on Instagram, and there are, I guess, more chances that the tension will definitely rise between Iran and US. And as we all know that the leader of Iran has been targeted and he has died, and actually I also don't want to witness World War III. So let's see what will actually happen.
We have to see like how US did this attack, and like how they did this attack that Iran is not able to even do a proper counterattack. So let's watch this
Video.
How did the US and Israel launch a preemptive strike against Iran? Well, they used a devastating tactic called time on target. With 2 aircraft carriers and a fleet of destroyers, they calculated the exact math so Israeli jets and US cruise missiles hit their marks at the exact same second.
Oh, wow.
Israel's main goal is assassinating Khamenei and the top leadership, while the US pounded military targets and other high-value industry. But why did Iranian air defenses fail to activate? Because the US fights with a different kind of technology using electronic warfare from space, sea, and air.
Oh, from space.
They completely blinded the Iranian radar just as destroyers launched a swarm of cruise missiles to wipe out the anti-air systems. But wait, the war is still not over. Iran still has thousands of ballistic missiles and drones, so they hit American and Middle East allied bases, and right now, almost everyone is an open target.
Actually.
On February 28, 2026, the United States and Israel launched a major coordinated military offensive against Iran. Israeli officials have called their offensive operation Roar of the Lion, while the US operation has been referred to as Operation Epic Fury. The message behind the Israel and US strike was clear. This wasn't just a show of force. This was a targeted move to assassinate the supreme leader of Iran. As stated, this wasn't just a random military strike. The ultimate target was the supreme leader's own compound. Missiles dialed in on highly sensitive areas. We're talking specifically around University Street, the Jamhuri district, and near Pastor Street. If you know the layout of Tehran, you know exactly what this means. This zone isn't just another neighborhood.
So?
It is the absolute nerve center of the Iranian government. It houses the primary, day-to-day offices of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. But here's the catch. The IDF says they got him. An Iranian military says Khamenei was not inside his offices when the missiles actually made an impact.
No, they said this previously.
The strike may have leveled the compound, but the target slipped away. And right now, the entire region is holding its breath waiting to see what happens next.
They agreed.
But reports says Israel says Khamenei's body has been found and he's confirmed dead.
Oh my.
Listen, that first wave, it didn't hold back, not even a little. We're talking about a perfectly synchronized, overwhelming assault. The entire goal was to blind and cripple the regime all at once. First, they hit Karaj, just completely ripping through their critical industrial and aerospace hubs. Then, Tehran, the capital, rocked. Any illusion of safety they had was just completely shattered. They didn't stop there. They struck calm, sending absolute shockwaves right through the ideological heart of the country. And if you follow this stuff, you know exactly how heavily fortified that area is. Over in the west, missiles literally rained down on Kermanshah. They neutralized those launch sites before the operators could even think about powering up their radars.
Oh, wow.
And then there's Isfahan, the absolute crown jewel of their nuclear and drone programs. Heavily defended, didn't matter. It just lit up the night sky.
That's it. Like Iran is paralyzed.
But how did the US and Israel actually pull off a preemptive strike on Iran? First of all, look at this map. To make this happen, they didn't just rely on local land bases. They brought 2 massive floating cities right to Iran's doorstep.
Oh, that
Down
is
in the
like
Arabian
too much
Sea, you've got the
power.
USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group bearing down on the south and east. And over in the eastern Mediterranean, the biggest newest ship USS Gerald R. Ford. While Israeli jets flew all the way across the Middle East to reach Iranian airspace, timing was absolutely critical.
That is why Iran, Iraq,
The moment those
Middle East,
IDF
because,
jets
they were
reached their
helping
marks,
USA.
the missiles were released. And that brings us to the most terrifying, complicated part of this entire operation, the synchronization. Military planners rely on a tactic called time on target.
Okay.
Look at this map. You have missiles firing from submarines, cruise missiles launching from escort ships, and massive payload drops from stealth bombers. They are all
Only that
deploying
side
from
is left.
completely different locations at entirely different times.
That is just.
But here is the
barren
genius of
mountains
it.
for Iran.
The US
Not
military
important place.
machine was mathematically choreographed, so everything impacted Kairaj, Tehran, Qom, Kermanshah, and Isfahan
All
at
the
the
main
exact same
cities
second.
attacked.
Yeah.
The Israeli jets dropped their guided bombs. It was designed to be a total systemic shock and
Think about it,
explodes
like
at
if
the same
India,
time.
Mumbai,
A move
Delhi
to
are
collapse
attacked,
the regime
then what will
instantly.
happen?
Crazy.
When those munitions finally hit, it was pure shock and awe. But why did the Iranian air defenses fail to activate? Well,
the
to put it
S-300.
simply, the US military operates in a completely
Prowler.
different league. Using a highly advanced mix of electronic warfare and cyber operations, coordinated from space to the ground, the coalition was able to inject false data directly into Iranian radar
What?
screens.
False data?
Top-tier Iranian air defense systems like their homegrown Baver and their Russian-supplied batteries were absolutely overwhelmed by this electronic
Oh my
assault.
god, India also has
But to actually
S-400.
hunt them down, the US
I
set
don't
a
feel so
brilliant
confident
trap.
about them.
They launched hundreds of
set a
ABM
trap.
160 MALDs, miniature air-launched decoys.
Oh,
To a panicked
decoy.
Iranian radar operator staring at a chaotic screen, these tiny drones look exactly like a massive squadron of F-15s or F-16s
Now which
screaming
one to
toward the
attack?
capital. With the door kicked wide open, fifth-generation stealth fighters, including both US and Israeli F-35s with possible F-22 Raptors, sliced through the airspace completely undetected. Ultimately, the Iranian air defense network wasn't just suppressed, it was completely dismantled, at least for the time period. Because the Iranian do have a huge firepower. Tehran has fired back. In Operation Truthful Promise 4, a massive
Truthful
wave
Promise.
of missiles and drones just
And they have
targeted US
missiles,
bases
yeah,
in Israel.
all the US bases.
Here's the fallout. The UAE's Al Dhafar air base was hit, leaving one dead from shrapnel.
Oh, one
In
dead.
Bahrain, the US Navy's 5th Fleet HQ was directly targeted. Qatar's air defenses successfully wiped out incoming missiles, while Kuwait locked down its entire airspace under heavy fire.
Wait.
Meanwhile, nationwide sirens are blasting across Israel, with massive mid-air interceptions lighting up the skies over Tel Aviv
What is
and
happening
Jerusalem.
in this world?
If you don't want your phone and emails to get compromised like that, you should get this military-grade VPN. At 9 in the morning, Israel launched more than a dozen aircraft, but it's a complicated process. They have to navigate or entirely bypass the airspace of neighboring countries like Syria and Iraq.
Jordan, Iraq.
To avoid hostile air defenses, defense analysts
And how did they
estimate
allow
the
that?
actual flight distance to reach
these
central
countries are
Iran
not
is
with
between
Iran?
930 and
They don't like both.
1,240
No, not
miles
Iran, not
each way.
Israel.
In between.
Although these routes may seem straightforward, they involve complex
But they can't
planning,
fight
including
USA.
calculations for
They're
air
like-
refueling and
They're like
coordinated
Let them do.
attack aircraft to pass through Jordan, Syria, and Iraq. Israel and US strategy was to attack Iran in 3 waves. The first wave targeted surface air-to-air sites, radar installations, and Iran's air defense headquarters in Tehran, Elam, and Khuzestan.
Ilam.
The second wave focused on destroying ballistic missiles, and finally, the third
One
wave
after
targeted
another.
military manufacturing industries. Kicking down the door. The attack begins not with manned aircraft, but with robotic precision from the sea. The goal is simple: blind the enemy's eyes, their radars, and silence their voice, their command and control. In the Persian Gulf and the Northern Arabian Sea, Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, ships like the USS Thomas Hudner, receive the launch order. The vertical launch system sells his open, and moments later, dozens of Tomahawk land attack missiles erupt from the decks.
Israel and
These
USA
missiles fly
working
at
together is
subsonic
so
speeds, hugging the
amazing.
terrain in what we call nap of the earth flight to stay below the radar horizon. They are programmed to loiter and strike simultaneously. Their warheads slam into S-300 and S-400 radar sites and command bunkers. They degrade the integrated air defense system, effectively carving out safe corridors for the pilots who are minutes behind them. 30 minutes past each hour, while the Tomahawks are still impacting, the silver bullets of the US Air Force are already deep inside hostile airspace. These are the B-2 Spirit stealth bombers,
even they
with the
use
air
the
defense
B-2
network
also.
fractured by
Wow.
Tomahawk cruise missiles,
Stealth
usually
plus.
fired from destroyers hundreds of miles away. The path is now clear. Now comes the strategic sites like nuclear bunkers, which can be
And
bombed
that
by
will be, like,
B-2
easily bombed
Spirit,
by them.
the tip of the spear. Launching from bases in Jordan and the UAE, squadrons of F-15 East Strike Eagles roar into the theater. These are the bomb trucks of the operation. Each F-15 is heavily laden with GDMs and small diameter bombs. Interestingly, it can
used
carry up to
F-15s,
19 GDAMs
not
or
the latest
28 small
F-35s.
diameter weapons. while the B-2s hit the
They
deep
were enough
bunkers.
to beat
The
them.
F-15s
Wow.
hunt the mobile targets.
Gone.
Their 80SA radars scan the ground for ballistic missile launchers hiding in valleys. Working in pairs, they drop precision bombs on missile convoys, hangars, and secondary command nodes. Once they are Winchester, out of ammo, or low on fuel, they don't go home yet. They connect to this tanker common launch tube that fits into almost any aircraft's existing fuel hatch. They retreat to those tanker tracks
So they
established in
become kind
Phase
of
1,
unstoppable.
taking on thousands of
Wow.
pounds of jet fuel in midair before turning back for a second sortie. 2 hours pass each hour. To sustain the pressure, the U.S. Navy's floating air bases enter the fight. Cruising in the Arabian Sea, a carrier strike group turns into the wind. Steam and electromagnetic catapults
Immense
begin launching
class.
aircraft every 30 seconds. F/A-18 Super
Every
Hornets
30 seconds.
launch carrying anti-radiation missiles. Their job is DAD,
Like, how can Iran
destruction of
fight
enemy
back
air
this?
defenses.
Never.
They are hunting down any surviving radar operators foolish enough to turn their systems on. Meanwhile, F-35C Lightning
Oh,
push
no, they
forward
use
to gather
F-35 also.
intelligence and strike high-threat targets that the older jets cannot reach. Orbiting far behind them are the E-2D Hawkeyes,
Oh.
the quarterbacks in the sky,
Hawkeye.
managing the massive traffic of hundreds of U.S. jets. By sunrise, the first wave is over. The eyes of the enemy air defense have been blinded by
Like in
tomahawks.
just one morning they did all this.
Yeah.
The
I
heart
can't eat
of the
my
nuclear
breakfast
program has
properly.
been
Yeah.
crushed by B-2s. And the limbs of the missile forces have been severed by F-15 and carrier aircraft.
US and Israel were working together and they just killed it. And the thing is, like in the news, we got to know that okay, they both attacked, this happened, but we never were able to understand like what happened. This video was very informative and it gave us a good indication how they both were working in tandem. And also the thing was like Israel knew that what their plan was. They just had to like kill Khamenei and also attack the main areas. And US plan was to kill the surrounding cities, and they both worked perfectly.
Yeah, but on the other side, I'm just thinking about the local people of Iran. Like, what's their fault? What they would be thinking, like, that president is scared, like, who's going to own the government, and what's going to be the relations with US and Israel. And I don't think so Iran could ever fight back with them.
Definitely, war comes with its own consequences because there are many people because they are not at fault. But what other can be the way to it? But I also like their strategy. They were just US and Israel work so good together. The coordination was on point, and directly they were just pointing at the air defense bases, the main area where they could just dismantle the support system and they could directly go in and attack.
Now I also don't know like what will happen to Iran. Like will they become a pro-US government or like what will happen? So we are excited to watch what will happen in the future days. But I think so like US is now like owning the world at this point of time. And if China and Russia want to do something about it, they have to do it now. So what do you guys think about it? Do let us know in the comment section below. So do like, share, and
Subscribe.
bye.